What's up, everybody? My name's Trey. This is Ramsey. Welcome back to Better Days Sports. And you see, I'm coming at you with a lot of excitement, a lot of happiness, and a lot of joy. However, that's going to be completely the opposite of what we are actually talking about in this video, because a lot of sad things happened in the league over these past couple weeks, and we want to keep you updated on the news. So in today's video, we'll actually be going over probably the top 5 worst injuries in the NFL so far, because there have been some doozies. But before we get into this episode of the podcast, if you are somebody that's new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get notified every time we post a video, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. Who do you feel on the list that we're about to talk about is the most detrimental loss to their team? Because we both have our opinions. We would love to see yours. But to start us off, at number 5, we have Joe Mixon. And my boy, I know you got this man on your fantasy team, so I'm going to go ahead and let you start.
Okay, well, Mr. Mixon, sir, first and foremost, before we even get to my biased fantasy views on this subject, I wish you a speedy recovery, absolutely, first and foremost. Now that we've gotten the important things out of the way, let's get to the nitty-gritty. I don't like how secretive they are being about this Mixon injury, and when the season started out, it was, okay, we're going to put him on IR, on the PUP list, physically unable to perform, for those who aren't aware. Usually that means you get 4 weeks, and then after week 4, you're supposed to be at least practicing. They're supposed to take, right? Well, Coach Ryan said on Monday that Mixon is nowhere close to returning. And when they asked him to elaborate further, it was, oh, well, we have no further comment at this time. And all they say is that it's this lingering foot and ankle issue. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what you said before the season. So why are we being so secretive as to what's going on? I mean, usually if something is as simple as you claim it is, it's very transparent. The only time when there are secrets like this, I feel, is if there's something more that they know or more that they feel that they should not let the public know because they're trying to keep it in-house. But I don't like how this is shaking out, especially just because, you know, it's Joe Mixon. We understand how valuable he is to the Texans offense, and you would like to think that you would want to get him on the field as fast as possible and at least ensure the fans that he will be joining the field and CJ Stroud and company soon. They're not getting that down there in H-Town. You know, it's just no further comment. Okay, well, I don't know what to take from that, but, you know, that's just me. What do you feel about the Mixon saga? Do you think that there's something more going on behind the scenes, or the man just wants his privacy?
No, I 1,000% echo everything you just said. The fact that we have just gotten absolutely no information about not only the injury itself, how it happened, or I guess where exactly it is. They're saying it's the foot. It could be the ankle. It could be something else. All around, a non-contract injury just doesn't make me very excited when it comes to his chances to return. There was a report that just came out this morning that actually said he could be out for the rest of the season. From what exactly, we have no idea. So, Joe Mixon, like I said, speedy recovery. I am hating this for the Texans. This was kind of like one of their major signings when they said we are going to be a dominant run team, and it just has not worked the way that they wanted to. Obviously, when your biggest signing running back has not played the whole season, it makes it a little bit difficult. And not only that, but for me, Ryan's defense is really focusing on big plays and getting off the field quickly. The problem is when you can't run the ball and your offense isn't dominating time of possession, they're having to play a lot more than I think they expected to, and with what arguably a softer defense is really getting ran through. So hopefully they can do something to either get him back healthy or just get a running back in there to stir up their offense. But hopefully he comes back and we see some great things, because I know without him, your fantasy team might be struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
But moving up to number 4 on this list, we have who some people were saying a potential GOAT in Joe Burrow. Why they call him the GOAT? Because he beat Patrick in a playoff game one time.
Hey, now.
That's about it. Hey. But this is kind of just the story of Joe Burrow when it comes to the NFL. It seems like this man cannot stay healthy, and his injuries, even though there are a plethora of them, they always seem to be major. He never just has a sprained ankle. He never just has just a tweaked back or something. He doesn't have anything where you're like, oh, he'll be ready in a week. Like, we don't have to worry about it. No, the man's having surgery. I just do not feel good, not only about kind of the trajectory of his career when it comes to his injuries, because it seems like he's legitly injured every single year, but I'm worried about the Cincinnati offense as a whole, because without Joe Burrow, that thing does not purr like it is supposed to. But how are you feeling about this injury?
I think this injury shows us a couple of things. Most importantly, the first thing, it shows us exactly how important Joe Burrow is to the Cincinnati Bengals. It would be an understatement to say Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, but he's not a game-changing quarterback after we see how they perform with and now without Mr. Burrow leading their offense. Also, I think a lot of it is also attributed to how the offense is run in Cincinnati. Can you explain to me why Joe Burrow is in shotgun for 80% of the offensive snaps in Cincinnati? That is not okay, because I understand how great he is. I get that. And I get that you know that you have a surgeon at quarterback and he can exploit those defenses if he is in shotgun. But Cincinnati's offensive line, I'm not going to say they're bad, but I think that as a collective, if they were performing to the part that they need to, Joe Burrow wouldn't have the level of injuries that he has on his resume right now. And as unfortunate as it sounds, Joe Burrow is a great generational quarterback. Yes, he is generational. The problem is he's starting to become the generational quarterback that we put in Andrew Luck territory too. He's great when he plays, but how often does he play? And yes, he made it to a Super Bowl. He didn't win the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals are good with him. They're awful without him. So I think that Mr. Burrow he can do whatever he wants in Cincinnati at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Anything. You want ice cream at the third quarter? You got it. You want two running backs in the backfield at all times? You got it. You want Jamar Chase's brother to be in the slot? You got it. Because all this has shown me is Cincinnati doesn't need Joe Burrow. Cincinnati is Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Now, because of this injury, one thing I'll ask you. So let's say he is out 3 months. They absolutely get ran through while he's gone. Maybe they only win 1, maybe 2 games. Would you keep him out for the rest of the season and just say, hey, we're just going for the highest pick that we can possibly get, because we're probably not going to be in this situation much longer because we have Joe Burrow?
I think that's a tricky situation, even for Cincinnati's case, right? Because as we can see, quarterback play around the league is definitely shown that there are a lot of quarterbacks sitting in lingo that deserve the opportunity to play. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say that Cincinnati should bench Joe Burrow if the injury does prove to be far more severe than it is, or at least what they're telling us. But if you do have the opportunity to go get a Anthony Richardson, if he's on the table, or Shedeur Sanders, or it really comes down to who can we give a chance for pennies on the dollar and see what they could do. And
a name comes to mind. It probably won't be him, but I wouldn't mind them getting Jameis Winston on a veteran min and just saying,
yeah,
how, like, let me see what all, like, numbers you can put up with this offense. Can you be Burrow without the wins? Can you be the numbers of Burrow, and we probably won't win as many games, but we'll have Jameis here biting on his W's on his hand or something? So
I think that will work. Even for Jameis, I think Jameis is a great bridge quarterback at this point in his career. He has the personality of a lifetime. I cannot wait for the color commentary days of Jameis Winston, just for the record. But personality aside, he is a great bridge quarterback to bring into your system if you are looking for that rookie to have some tutelage under a vet that can show him the ropes a little bit. He's going to be explosive. You're going to sell tickets. He's going to throw a lot of interceptions, but it's going to be fun to watch. And that would be something that they could gamble on. I mean, he's not doing anything in New York. That's been proven. So, I mean, give the man something to do while he can. But moving up on the list, I know that we've had our rant about Mr. Burrow, but I think that there is somebody else that's probably going to impact their team more than Joe Burrow, at least at this point in their career, and that's Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers, he had a very intense injury, and I think that before I get into it, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give a breakdown on how you feel about this Malik Nabers injury, how it's going to affect the Giants moving forward as an organization.
This is the worst injury on this list. It makes me want to just flip a table because I literally put him on my top 5 on receivers at number 5, edging in, young receiver, fast, going to make plays down the field, exciting to watch. I'm like, you have everything that you need right now for a true identity at the Giants. You got Dart starting at quarterback. For whatever reason, Dart probably has the most swag of any quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't know exactly why he has it, but hey, the Giants are exciting, which is weird to just say out loud. They have a running back. They think they found their franchise quarterback. You have your number 1 receiver. You're like, okay, we have pieces. Let's build out the rest of our infrastructure. And then my boy tears his ACL. So, not liking this at all, specifically for Nabers because he is a speed guy. We'll have to see how the recovery process looks. This is not a simple tear. This is a complete rupture of his ACL. He's going to have surgery. He's going to miss the remainder of this season, maybe even a little bit of next season. So I just feel really bad, not only for this player, also for that organization, but I also feel bad for Nabers' future going forward, just depending on how he actually heals from this injury. But how are you seeing this one?
Well, I think in the long term, Malik is going to be okay, right? I think with the resources that we have as professional sport athletes today, they are able to recover from injuries like these rather quickly and still become the images that we want them to be down the road. And when it comes to Malik, it was just like they had the perfect storm of juice and synergy in the team. Jackson Dart's about to be the quarterback. Cam Scatterboo has somehow become the crown jewel of the offense, and I don't know how that happened. Was not on my bingo card this year. And then you got Malik Nabers, who was already complaining about quarterback play, and then you switch to quarterback, and then he says, "Look, just trust in one. I got you." That was going to be so much fun. It was going to be a lot of those. You know what? I know Malik's down there somewhere, and we were going to see a lot of SportsCenter plays. But I guess we just have to wait until next season. I think it's going to mess with the chemistry in their offense a little bit. But they still have Wan'Dale Robinson. They still have Cam Scatterboo, and they have some pieces there that can still produce. But it's definitely took some of the juice out of the building for sure, and we can't understate that. And I think, just when the Giants were about to have that glimmer of hope, Malik said, "You know what? I think we got to make it until next year, y'all." And it's just like, man. I'm excited to see the Jackson Dart Nabers collab next season, but this season, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get it, bro. But moving up on the list, another individual that I think is probably one of the most volatile on the list, if not the most volatile, depending on how long he's going to be out, and that's Mr. Jackson, Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, and from what I've heard already, there are going to be reports that Cooper Rush is going to be the backup quarterback for this upcoming Sunday. And when it comes to Lamar Jackson, you want to protect that asset, but that hamstring injury, man, hamstrings are tricky. How do you think the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar are approaching this situation on how they can get him back, because they're struggling right now?
Yeah, the biggest problem with this injury is the type of player that Lamar is. Lamar thrives on being an athletic, elusive, fast player. The hamstring, especially when it's injured, it's just not something that allows you to do that. It'll feel fine one time, you make a simple cut, and then you no longer can run full speed. So it's going to be interesting of just how bad this one is specifically to him. If they get in and you're like, oh, it's just going to be a week, he'll be fine. It's just kind of more of like a strain than an actual, pull of his hamstring or something. He might be fine. Also, I think he was frustrated with the game. Like, everything's going bad. I'm getting hit a ton. We're losing games. Like, he might not even necessarily be, like, injured, he might have just needed a break, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I know that's something that we kind of talked about with our QB rankings when it came to, I feel like Lamar's season right now is probably the worst it's going to get. Lost a lot of really close games. They have not played well. They're having mental collapses all over the field, not just at his position. Wide receivers are dropping balls. Derrick Henry is now a fumbling machine, apparently. So there's just like a storm is brewing in Baltimore that I'm actually really worried that they might not be able to come back from. If this hamstring is like a severe pull or strain or something that just does not allow Lamar to play the way that he normally does, we can see a Ravens team that might kind of feel desperate come later parts of this year and might try to make some really big moves, maybe at the coaching position, maybe at a few other positions that they have on their defense. And I don't necessarily know if they can do anything to kind of salvage this season because it really relies on Lamar's health, to be completely honest with you. Now, going to the last player that we are actually going to talk about, and arguably the most gruesome injury of anybody so far on this list, Tyreek Hill. Because if you haven't watched the game, highly recommend watching it unless you have a little sensitive stomach, because it's not great, okay? Not only did he dislocate his knee, but from the reports that have come out, it looks like he tore multiple ligaments and multiple tendons in that knee. So it's not just going to be as simple as putting it back in place, staying off it for a little bit. It looks like he's going to have to learn how to completely walk again. So this, again, is another receiver who prides himself on being fast, being elusive, and it might be a very tough injury to come back from. Not only were they having a really bad start to the season, but now your number one receiver's out. So it's just a lot of bad things happening for not only the Dolphins, but for Tyreek Hill. But how are you feeling about this injury?
I think in terms of severity of injury, it's probably the most surmountable right here on our list, right? I mean, if you saw the clip, you already saw how it was. I mean, a leg is not supposed to dangle like that, you know? And even when, how you said that, yeah, he not only dislocated his kneecap, but he also tore several ligaments and tendons. One of those ligaments that he tore was his ACL. So they've already said that there's a possibility that he's not only going to miss this season, that's a guarantee, but the start of next season as well. And I don't know if Tua is going to make it to next season in Miami, so we might have seen the last of the Tua-Tyreek Hill connection. We've already heard murmurs of them not being the broest of bros, for lack of a better term, and there's been chemistry issues on the field. We might have seen the last of the Tua-Tyreek tandem, and that would be tragic if this were to be the way that it ended. But I don't know. The one thing I do want to mention is, did you notice how much Tyreek was smiling after the injury? Have you seen the footage? And he's probably I've never seen a man so happy after destroying his knee. Never seen that. I think I've seen you smile more over the past 48 hours than I've seen you smile this whole season. It's
I've seen the memes, and I just want to put out there, the internet is absolutely undefeated. Like, not only do you watch somebody potentially like blow out their leg and lose like their professional career, and then you have people like, thank God we're gonna beat Miami next week. Like, this is wild. So it's the injury itself was terrible. I think there was just so much adrenaline going on that Tyreek couldn't help himself but to laugh, because you have to think of how many hours these professional athletes put in, not only to their body but their craft. And it's like, I've dedicated my entire life to this. I've been tackled that way all the way since like pee-wee football in like 3rd, 4th grade or whatever the case may be. Yeah. And now's the time where I have one of the most gruesome injuries that we've seen on the field. So I think he couldn't do anything but laugh. He's had a very questionable stint at Miami, where they're not winning games. Like, their offense is supposed to be amazing, but they don't put up points against good teams. So the Miami experiment that it was weird in and of itself. And I think all of that kind of coupled together with, I mean, Tyreek Hill's leg is just dangling that he can't do anything about it. I think he couldn't do anything but laugh, to be honest with you.
Yeah, when you put it like that, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And I think maybe it might be a sense of maybe a little bit of foreshadowing that a fresh start and a fresh, sense of time away from the sport and the team may be the best thing for Tyreek Hill at this point, because we've already had the controversy and the chemistry issues. There's been more negative than positive that we have heard from these Miami stories that are coming out of the Dolphins camp during his entire Miami Dolphins tenure. So maybe this is just great for both sides. Get some fresh air, focus on your recovery, be with your family, work on yourself, and maybe you'll be a part of the Dolphins next year. Maybe you'll be traded. Maybe you'll get the dream, the wish that you want. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but I guess we'll find out. But I think that to be continued will be the best way to put that. But
yeah, 1,000%. Now, one of the things I did kind of see just circulating the internet, that this is going to be the best worst thing for Tyreek Hill at this stage of his career. Kind of explain a little bit of why I saw. Worst thing, obviously, you never want to have an injury, especially one that you have to relearn how to walk, run, play the position that you're so good at. Good, because after this season, Tyreek's value is going to be an all-time low when it comes to trades.
It is.
And I have heard rumblings that the Kansas City Chiefs are talking about a reunion when he comes back and gets healthy. I think it could be interesting. Now, I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. Is he still going to be a 4-2 guy? Maybe he'll be like a 4-5 guy. How does that actually translate when it comes to his football game? I don't know. So a lot of things to actually see. Going to probably be a couple years before we see Tyreek, so we have a lot of time to kind of speculate on what his return actually looks like. But we really appreciate you stopping by for this episode of the podcast. Said top 5 injuries so far through the NFL season. We would love to see how you feel about these in the comment section down below. Who you feel on this list had, number 1, the worst injury, and whose team is going to suffer the most. I think worst injury is Hill. I think team that's going to suffer the most will actually probably be the Baltimore Ravens, because they're already struggling, and for whatever reason, I had no faith in the Bengals anyway. So Joe being in there and not being in there, they're not doing nothing. So just like that, really appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe button, notification bell, to be notified every time I post a video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out.